Thanks for joining us here on Chaos to Clarity. I'm meteorologist Bernie Rayno. You can follow me on X. I'm at AccuRayno. We're going to talk about next week. Lots of cold coming, and we have two storms that we're tracking. One early in the week, and then the potential East Coast storm Thursday, Friday, or Friday and the Saturday of not this upcoming week, next week. Now, I've got a lot of people questioning me. It's way too early to talk about this. It actually isn't. Why do I think there's the potential for a snowstorm? A couple of them, because we're getting Arctic air. And once you build the cold air and you have storms, and we do have storms to track, you're going to deal with snow and ice. It's that simple. Here's kind of a snapshot of what we're looking at as we head in the next week. Again, widespread cold air. I think we're looking at sub-zero temperatures in the northern plains and the upper Midwest. There may be cities like Minneapolis and Chicago that will go below zero for an extended period of time next week. I think there's our first storm. This is going to be Sunday across the plains, and then Sunday night, Monday, Midwest toward the mid-Atlantic. There will be several inches of snow with this first storm, and then Arctic air comes in behind this system, and then this is what's possible late next week. I want to stress, though, it's possible. I've been posting this on X, and then people say, Bernie said there's a huge snowstorm. I don't know if there's going to be one. I will say this, the ingredients are there for a huge East Coast snowstorm. There's no doubt about it. But when you see the energy and how it has to come together to get the snowstorm, you're going to be skeptical that it works out in the favor of an East Coast snowstorm. But the ingredients are certainly there. All right, let me show you what I'm talking about here really quickly. Let's talk about storm number one. This is Sunday, and what you're looking at is here. You see this dip in the jet stream? You see that? This is going to be leaving, and then behind it, look at the flow. You're getting an injection of cold air coming into the Northeast, Midwest, as we get into our Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then you're tracking this system right here across the Rockies. Now, let me show you where that system is right now, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Let me close this. So this is the system that we're tracking for Saturday Northern Plains, Saturday Northern Rockies, Sunday in the Plains, and then Sunday night, Monday in the Northeast. It's right here. It's this system. This will come into the Northwest as we head toward later this week, and that's the storm that we're tracking into the Plains Sunday, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast on Monday. And because you're getting an injection of cold air out ahead of the storm, I think there's a few, if not several inches of snow, and you're going to be running the risk for ice with this storm as well. So again, we see where this storm is. It's south and west of the Aleutian Islands, well out in the Pacific for now. All right, back to the map, and this is the energy. Now, here it is. This is Sunday morning across the Rockies. This is the American model. This is the European. Similar, but watch the differences as we get into Monday. There's the American model. This is the European model. Now, this is the latest American model. It just came out. This was last night's. But the European model has a stronger system. You see how it's closed off here? All right. So what happens is this storm goes farther south. The GFS has the storm farther north. The European, would be a bigger snow solution for Ohio, Indiana, and into Pennsylvania. All right, let me show you the surface map with this. So again, this is storm number one coming Sunday in the Monday, and there's no doubt there's going to be some snow and ice with this storm. Let me get it set up for you here on Sunday. So here we go. Let me put this into full so you could see everything here. So this is the GFS model, and you can see the pinks. Notice the storm track. It's a strengthening storm, but see the track? It goes across St. Louis, then near South Bend Monday morning, and then in the southwest Ontario Monday afternoon, Monday evening. There's some snow and ice with this, but it's a weaker storm, right? Here's the European model, stronger. Look at the difference in the pressure. This is Sunday evening, all right? This is the European model. American model, a little different. Watch as we go out forward. Monday morning, this is the European American model. See how it's farther north? And it's weaker. This is a bigger system coming into the mid-Atlantic and northeast. Now, it gets a little complicated because what will end up happening is, with this storm, if the European's right, it comes toward the Ohio Valley, gets into western Pennsylvania, then forms a coastal, and it moves out to sea, and you get a little rip-off zone, probably across central Pennsylvania. I don't know, but here's the thing that has me impressed with this storm. You've got a 1025 high here, high pressure system, funneling cold air across Quebec all the way into the northeast. And what's happening is you're going to overrun that cold air mass with this warmer air coming in from the south. So it makes for a very, very impressive what we call overrunning area where you get heavy precipitation. So I could see several inches of snow with this as it tracks northeast. Now, again, the American model is a little weaker with it. See that? Look at the difference. That's Monday evening, American. And then, well, let me go back to Monday afternoon. Look at the difference. All right. And then as this storm comes across the mid-Atlantic, you form a coastal storm here on the European, right? And then watch what happens. It starts going northward, and then you get a band of heavy snow, perhaps even around New York City, Monday night into Tuesday. So again, I don't want to sleep on this storm. This is going to be a formidable storm as we get into the early part of next week. And here's a little snapshot of that storm. So again, now listen, I'm going more with the European track of this storm, that it goes from Oklahoma City toward Louisville and then off Long Island, in which case this area in the blue, you know, you're going to see areas of 3 to 6, 6 to 10 inches of snow, I think, somewhere in here. All right. So this is going to be a formidable storm. And where this storm tracks, you're going to get ice. I think freezing rain and sleet could be a problem. Right now, New York City is a close call. Philadelphia is a close call. I think this is mostly going to be rain from Washington, D.C. on south. So again, this is going to be Sunday night, and then Sunday night, Tuesday across the mid-Atlantic states. And this is going to cause some big problems here. Now, then, behind this storm, it really starts to get a little more interesting on what happens behind this. Let me go back to my upper air charts here, and let me get into this storm as we get into Tuesday morning. All right. Let me put this to full so you can see it, and let me go full screen. Okay. So here comes the storm. This leaves, and then look what's going on here behind it. You've got this upper low, and this is going to be digging southward. Follow this. This is the European model. The GFS is a little different, but it still shows the same thing. Look at this big, deepening trough coming into the Great Lakes states here. That's the European. That's Thursday evening. This is the GFS. They both show it. GFS is a little more pronounced with it in the east, but this is a surge of Arctic air coming south. You see that? And that sets the stage for the possibility of your East Coast storm. Let me show you why you have some of the ingredients for this. I'm going to go back to the surface map, and then you'll see what I'm talking about here, why we're so impressed with this, that it's at least a possibility. I want to go on the European model. This is Wednesday morning. What do you have going on here? You have a boundary in here, right? You have a boundary that's stuck across the northern Gulf of Mexico. And you're going to have additional energy rounding the bend. Here comes your Arctic air into the storm, and you have everything you need for a storm to form along this boundary. And then the question is, does it come up the coast or out to sea? Now, I think all scenarios are possible with this. I want to show you this little snapshot of the possibilities with this storm. I mean, if this storm forms along this boundary and is guided up the coast, this is an East Coast snowstorm. You have Arctic air coming in. This storm would then deepen, and you'd get a huge snowstorm along the eastern seaboard. It could be the I-95 too, or it could be just to the west. It would be a close call. But I could also see how it's a weaker storm and it goes out to sea, and there's little to no snow with this. I mean, that's what we're dealing with. When are we talking about this? anywhere from Thursday through Saturday of next week. That's kind of the time frame. Now, no matter the scenario, it's going to get brutally cold here next week. And I mean, we're talking cold that can go all the way down to Texas. You may have a freeze all the way down toward Houston by the end of next week. But that's even up for debate. Now, let me show you late next week. And I'm warning you now, I talked about this on my Twitter account, on my X account. I call this the windshield wiper effect. For when we're talking about storms this far away, there's going to be ebbing and flowing back and forth. There are going to be some days that you're going to see the modeling where it's the European or the GFS showing a huge snowstorm coming up the coast, and the next day it's all out to sea, or it's not much of a storm. That's going to go on for days. But so a lot of people ask me why even talking about it, because I do want to let you know you have Arctic air coming, and the ingredients are there for a big East Coast snowstorm late next week. There are. I mean, the ingredients are all there. But let me show you why it's going to be hard to get it. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but you need everything to hit perfectly for this to end up working here. So let me go back to my series of maps here. I want to go to the 500 millibar here, and I'll show you what needs to happen for this to occur. So let me go full on this so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So what happens is our storm leaves. Remember, this is our early week storm. This is Monday. This leaves. Watch that push by as we get into Tuesday morning. There it goes. It leaves. And then behind it, you start building the Arctic air. You have that boundary that is closed off. Now, watch what happens as we get into Wednesday. Then I'll show you the surface map. So here you go. Look what's going on. Here's your Arctic air. This is your upper low. And then this is the energy that will form the storm. Now, this energy has to get out ahead of this trough. This has to run out ahead of it. If it runs out ahead of it, you're going to get a huge East Coast snowstorm. But if this energy moves with it at the same longitude, or if it gets left behind, you're not going to get a storm. Watch the European and you'll see what I mean here. Watch this energy. Let's focus on this and let's focus on this. These work in tandem. So watch what happens as we go forward. This is Wednesday evening. Let's go into Thursday morning. All right, here's the upper low, but this energy is lagging behind it. This needs to get out ahead of it. Watch what happens as we get into Thursday evening. See, the energy's coming around. You see it? Here it is. It's coming into Texas, but you see how it's lagging behind to the west-southwest of this upper low. For a storm to form, this energy has to probably be in here. And then what would happen is this would form the storm, and then this would be guided up the coast, and you'd get a huge snowstorm. But again, the European showing that this energy is just not quite there. You see, it never gets out ahead of the trough until it's across the southeast, and by that time, the storm center is offshore. Now, there'd be lots of cold air coming, but it's offshore. Now, the GFS has a little different solution, which I think is possible. There's the upper low, and I talked about this on Twitter as well. Here's the upper low, right? Here's the energy, but watch what it does with this energy. It leaves it behind altogether, right? Watch as I turn off my pen. See how it does that? Leaves it behind. You see how it leaves it behind? There's a little piece that comes out ahead of this, so maybe you'd get a smaller storm and snow, but it's not a big snowstorm. All right, see that? And then I'll show you the surface panel, you see? So it never gets out ahead of it. It's out to sea, but you got a lot of cold air coming in. Let me show you the surface map with this, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. Let's go to full. So again, here's where we go. This is the European model. Now watch this. There's a threat of snow and ice with this in Texas Wednesday night and Thursday. But you see how the storm, it's forced out to sea. You see, it's the energy never gets out ahead of the trough, so it's out to sea. The GFS, it leaves most of the energy behind. So what you end up getting is a weaker storm that goes in here. Now, There could be a few inches of snow with this, all the way toward New York City and Philadelphia, but it's not a big snowstorm till perhaps, Atlantic Canada, but then here comes the cold air. So again, the key is, it's this piece of energy. This is what we're going to look for. What does this piece of energy do in the Southwest? This is the key. You have this piece in this week. If this gets out ahead of this digging trough, you've got a big snowstorm. If it doesn't, you don't get the snowstorm. You get a lot of cold air, but you don't get the snowstorm. And I want to end with this. I want to show you how complicated this setup is. I want to show you that for the late week storm, you're dealing with this piece of energy and this piece of energy. Where is that energy now? Where is it across the globe? Well, I'm going to show you that. Because, just to tell you how complicated this is. All right. Let me go full on this. We're going to work backwards. We're going to work backwards here. So let me put this on full so you could see what I'm talking about. And you could see how complicated this is. So, this is the piece of energy that forms the storm. Where is this energy today? This is Thursday evening. Okay? Let's work backwards. Let's follow that piece of energy. So there it is. Let's follow the piece of energy. So again, this is the piece in here. Let's follow it. Let's follow it. Okay, so it's right here on Sunday. It's here south of the Aleutians. There it is. Let's continue to follow it. So here it is. I'm going to circle it. Let's keep following it, following it, following it, following it. Following it. So here it is, northern Japan. That is Thursday afternoon. So that energy right now is somewhere across the central part of Russia, way over here. So you have from here all the way to here to track this system. Now that's the southern piece of energy. What about the northern piece? Let's go back. So the northern piece is this upper low in here coming south, right? Where is that energy now? There it is, there it is, there it is, there it is. It's right here. This is on Sunday across the Yukon territory. And it looks like it comes from this energy somewhere across north of the Yukon territory. So those are the systems that we're tracking. And again, you're trying to time the northern piece. You're trying to time the southern piece. Those systems are, thousands of miles away. So that's why it's really too early to tell about where this is going to go. But all I can tell you is the ingredients. They're there. They're there. First, we have the early week storm. I talked about that snow and ice. And then you have to look out along the East Coast later next week. It would be somewhere in that Thursday, Friday, Saturday time frame. It's very complicated. But no matter what you look at, brutal cold is coming. And, some of this cold, especially being showed on the European, is very impressive, all the way down into Texas. Freezing's into Houston. The GFS has more of the cold off across the southeast. But get ready. We have a brutal cold air mass coming. We have threats for snow and ice early week, and then you'll watch out along the East Coast for late in the week. Could it go out to sea with no harm, no foul? Absolutely. Could it be a coastal East Coast snowstorm? It could. If it's an East Coast, or could it be somewhere in the middle where it's a weaker storm that produces snow throughout the Midwest and Northeast late next week? That's possible. So a lot of interesting details to get. I'll continue to keep you updated. If you have any questions, follow me on X. I'm at AccuRayno.